right, I think we've got everybody. So we'll go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Spencer Kilpack with the Spot Implementation Team. Welcome to today's Spot email and SMS messaging webinar. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody. You will be automatically muted by yourself. You can go ahead and choose to unmute yourself, but I will go ahead and unmute you. You just now have the ability to unmute yourself to ask any questions. So let's see. Yes, it says interesting. All right, there we go. So if you have any questions, just click the hand icon to indicate that you have a question, or you can submit any questions through the questions pane. And if there are any questions, I'd like to get started with those. Certainly, if you've been through this webinar before, I don't want to keep you for the entire length of the webinar. So again, feel free to start off with any of those questions. So again, email, we're all familiar with what email is. Let's go through what it takes to get email configured in Spot. So I'm just going to go to email, and you'll see emails in Spot here. In order to send an email through Spot, you must first have an SMTP service provider. It stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It is a protocol in which you are able to send emails to your customers. Typically, this is a server that sits on somewhere, whether it's Gmail or whether it's Office 365. This is what allows your emails to go out. At Spot, we actually offer an SMTP service I'm not sure what the exact price is. I think it's $25 a month. And we will set up that SMTP service so that we will send out emails on your behalf. In the configuration, and I'm just going to come to Spot here rather than stay on the help page. Inside of Spot, if we go into our setup and program configuration, and then come to our store settings, we have email settings here. You'll see that we've got some email settings that are already in place. The required email settings are going to be your return address. The return address is typically going to be, this is the email address that is registered to this SMTP server. You'll see here that my username and return address are generally going to be the same thing. Then our SMTP server and our SMTP port and our authentication method. And then we have our username and password and our on behalf of name and on behalf of address. And this is what's particularly important, because with email, you are able to send as any person that you like. But with the new security in email these days, if you are sending, if we were to send with a return address of, let's say, spencerk@gmail.com, but my username is spencerk@spotpos.com, this creates a flag for most email clients that say, hey, this is a spoofed email, we're going to flag it as spam. This is where we have an on behalf of. This is logic that says, I know it's coming from mydrycleaner.com, but I'm going to send it on behalf of, let's say, spencerk@gmail.com. That means that when the customer replies to that message, it's going to go back to spencerk@gmail.com. Can be a little bit confusing, but that's certainly something that we can always help you through. So I'm just going to do info@mydrycleaner.com. The remainder of these options here are not required to send emails. Non-delivery POP3 server, email invoice header, these are just additional settings. You don't need to worry about it this time. But primarily, these settings right here are what you're going to be focused on. All right. Now, if we expand our email settings here, we can see some of the various. This does not include all of the email types that we can send out of Spot, but quite a few of them, probably a good majority of them. We'll see here an AR payment posted, anytime a counter order is quick, detailed, made ready, or picked up. And not all of these, I should also add that not all of these are automated. And I will bring attention to the automated style as we go through them. So AR payment posted, that would be an automatic email. You'll notice that we can send different types of messages based upon whether it's an approved payment or whether it's declined. Counter quick and detail, these are not automatic emails. And counter pickup is also not automatic. Ready order notifications is automatic, and there are actually two ways that we can do those with a couple of different pieces of logic. So we can send an email based upon when the entire visit has been racked, or whether, or the more popular method is based upon the promise date. So when all of the invoices that are promised for a given date have been racked, then we send an email. Each of these locker emails, these are all part of the Spot locker logic, which also requires delivery console. We have an entirely separate locker webinar, so if you're interested in the locker side of things, you can certainly check out that locker webinar. We also have a recorded version of that webinar, which we recommend that you visit first, and that's at youtube.com/SpotPOS Media. In Spot POS Media, you can look at any of our pre-recorded webinars and uploads. You can certainly see here we have Spot Lockers 101, and that would be the video to review first before joining that webinar. Okay, let's come back to Spot. A payment receipt. So this is an automatic receipt that goes out anytime a payment is made. This is not to be confused with the AR payment receipt. This would be a payment made to an order that we can have automatically go out. Okay, route detail, not automatic. Route delivery is automatic. Route stop is automatic. And then route ready can also be automatic. Again, most of these, I would say most customers use just a fraction of these, particularly like counter quick detail. There is such thing as notifying a customer too much. And so you want to be a little bit wary of what you're doing here, particularly with regards to automatic emails. Shipment created. If you're not familiar, Spot does have a shipping logic built into it, where you can integrate with I believe with both UPS and FedEx. So if you are a wholesaler that has stuff shipped in from around the country, generally that's more popular with like bridal bridal gown preservation, more of the specialty services. You can send shipments, and you can automatically send an email to the customer that includes tracking numbers, etc. Okay, individual invoice and visit. So if you want to send a customer a copy of their individual invoice, this is the template that we use. HSL photo, a customer reward, an on-demand route visit, a route cancellation, and this would be an on-demand request or a cancellation or suspension that takes place from within Spot, not that the customer does through Customer Connect. That carries its own template. And split invoice, and you'll see that with a split invoice, this is particularly related to whether or not, if an order was split. We also have delayed items subject and delayed items message file. Then statement invoices and pickup not paid message. So quite a few options that can go out to your customers. Again, remember that these are store settings, so these would need to be set up in each store for which you wish to use them. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other methods by which we can send an email. And we can send emails for statements. So we can email a customer when their statement has been created. And that is not an automatic feature. That is something that must be done manually. Let's come back in here. We're not going to spend too much time talking about email. I think the bulk of where most customers' concern is these days is regarding the SMS capabilities of Spot. So let's jump into the SMS side of things. So again, I'm going to come back to our help page, and I'm just going to search for SMS. And I recommend you come here to Getting Started with SMS. This will guide you if you are not currently using SMS with Spot. This will give you a quick guide on how to sign up with Twilio. Twilio is a third-party service. If we go to twilio.com, Twilio is a third-party service that facilitates the actual sending and receiving of text messages from your customers. This is an API-driven website, meaning that that they supply us with the credentials to send on your behalf. So when you sign up with Twilio, you'll sign up, put in for your information, select your products. You're going to choose programmable SMS, give it the name of your company. Then you upgrade your account and get started. Again, you can just follow this Getting Started with SMS, this Twilio setup piece. Once you get through the end of that, there are some company settings, and you can always reach out to our support team to get this configured. Again, there is a setup, program configuration, company, service host settings. There is a field here. If there is nothing here, then please contact Spot Support, and we will get that taken care of for you. Then we create our profile. And within the profile, there are a number of things that we get from Twilio. And I should mention that when you sign up with Twilio, one of the steps here is to add SMS admin at spotpos.com as an administrator to your account. That gives us the ability to sign into your Twilio account and gather the settings that we need. There are also additional settings that need to be filled in by Spot in order for your account to work properly. Particularly what we call interactive messaging. Interactive messaging is the ability for you to text your customers and your customers to text you back, and for you to be able to carry on a conversation with your customers through Spot. In order to do that, we have what we call the Spot Notification Center. So once your SMS has been configured, you will want to come to your workstation settings. And here we have, under Workstation System Menu Settings, we have Notification Center Scope. Right now, that is set to current store. I can also set this to all stores in group. What that means, obviously, is that the notifications that show up here will be based upon what you have in those workstation settings. You'll also see here that instead of showing my production commitment, I have my notifications set to show here. You'll see I have 0 on my way, 0 messages, and then I can also see all notifications. Once I have all of this configured, then I am now able to start sending messages to my customers. So if I come to, let's just go to Kilpack Spencer, and let's grab one of them. And none of them have the right phone number in there. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. We got the right phone number in there, and we also need to make sure that under reminders we have batch SMS that needs to be enabled, and I need to now save that customer. If we come to reminders or I'm sorry, messages, I can now send an SMS message to myself. And with interactive messaging, I will receive that message and be able to reply to it. You'll probably hear my phone go off in just a second. Assuming we have it set up properly. This is a test environment, so there are constantly changes being made. Let's make sure that it's It looks like it should be going. Let's double check here. Queued for delivery, okay. It's also possible that I have opted out. And that's the key is with Twilio, all your customers need to do is if they do not want to receive any further messages from you, all they need to do is reply with the word stop. And that word and that reply with the word stop immediately opts them out of that message. Okay, let's see here. Additionally, in order to send messages to your customers, you do need to have your customer notification types set properly. If you go to your company settings, and then it'll be under customer settings and notification settings right here, click edit. And here are our various customer notification types. And you'll see that I've hidden a few of these. These are types that I have no interest in using. But in order to send SMS messages to your customers, you will need to come to batch SMS here and set the default notification type. So what I recommend is set disabled to no and phone SMS to yes. As long as that is set to yes, then you will be able to send SMS messages to your customers. Additionally, let's see, lost my train of thought. I apologize. Additionally, when you set up your customers to be able to send messages, you also must have a cell phone type for the phone number. So if I come here to Spencer Kilpack and I see 801-870-7257, and I've got my cell phone is set to cell/mobile. As long as it's set to cell/mobile, Spot will attempt to send an SMS message to it. Now, I would caution you that if you send an SMS message to a non-cell phone or a landline, that you will get a warning. You'll get an email from Twilio warning you that you have attempted to send an SMS message to a landline and that it was not delivered. If you do this too often, it can start to impact your rating with Twilio, and it can affect the ability for your messages to be delivered to customers. So I would recommend that there are a couple of settings that can take care of this. We go into setup and program configuration, come here to store settings, and then to customer settings. And right here at the bottom, you'll see verify phone type on save. So anytime that a customer is modified, if their phone number has not been validated, it will validate through Twilio. Additionally, and so I'd recommend you have that turned on. And then, you really only need to do this one time as long as you turn on the store setting. We come to menu, email messaging, SMS validate phone numbers. This will scan all of the customers that you select here. So if you're only sending messages to your route customers, you can just choose your routes. I'm going to choose everything. And you'll see here that there are 22 phone numbers that have not been validated as part of, that have not ever been validated with Twilio. If I validate these, it's going to tell me this can take a long time and will incur Twilio usage fees. The cost for a validation is half of a penny per validation. So for 22, it's going to cost me 11 cents. So you can just take that for what it's worth. The good rule of thumb is for every 10,000 customers, it will cost you $50 to do this. It is well worth it doing it the initial time. So I'm going to say yes, and you'll see that it has now confirmed that none of these are mobile phone numbers. Okay. Which that's actually not correct, because that is a mobile phone. So we clearly don't have something set up properly with our Twilio. So it is important that that you validate that your Twilio is working properly before you do this. But what it has done is it has taken each of these cell phones and changed them to a phone type of other. So if I come back to my account, you can see that my phone type is now set to other. I'm going to change that back to cell mobile. Okay. Now, a few different things that you can do with SMS. Number one, you can send order ready notifications to your customers. And if they're anything like me, they don't look at their email nearly as often as they look at their texts, which makes text notifications much easier to use. Probably the strongest benefit to using SMS is using what we call interactive route reminders. An interactive route reminder is the same thing as an interactive message, where I can send myself a text message and reply to it. But in this case, it's going to be an automated message that goes out the day before a route is run and can do one of two things. For your static customers, it can send a message saying, "Dear first name, tomorrow is your pickup and delivery date." And again, you can change the wording how you wish. It just needs to be less than 160 characters. "Dear Fred, tomorrow is your pickup and delivery date with XYZ cleaners. If you need a pickup, or if you do not need us to stop by, please reply N, and we will see you next time." Something to that extent. I've seen some customers say, "Help us stay green by responding N if you don't need us to come by." And what it will do is it will take those scheduled customers, the static customers that you visit every Monday and Thursday, and it will remove them from the manifest if they have nothing for you to pick up. If they have something to deliver, it will not even send them a message. Okay. Secondly, we can send a message to your on-demand customers saying, "Dear Fred, tomorrow is your pickup and delivery date with XYZ cleaners. Please respond Y if you would like a pickup." They respond Y, and it adds the customer to the manifest seamlessly. Now, there are some rules around this. Number one, you need to make sure that you create the manifest, that you're not creating the manifest the day before. We have many customers who it has been their practice over the years to run the manifest at the end of the prior day, get the route staged, and then leave first thing in the morning. That does not work if we're using interactive route reminders, because we may have changes to the manifest coming in until 6 in the morning. Number two, there is also a place to configure an automatic reply to go to customers if they reply too late to that text. So if I'm a customer and I reply at 9 in the morning, I will get a message that says, "I'm sorry, you didn't reply in time," or something to that effect. That is located in your Customer Connect settings down here under SMS. You'll see we have auto reply templates. I can send a default response. This is for an unsolicited text. So if I send a customer a text and they reply, they don't get anything. But if they send me a message and I did not, and that was not a reply to a message from me, then it will send this default response. You'll see sends an unsolicited message to the store. A late response to prompt. This is a message that goes out if the customer replies too late to the interactive route reminders. Store is closed. This one is always good for your counter customers that are not replying to anything. This will send if you send them a message at 2 in the afternoon and they reply at 8 at night, they will get a message back saying, "Sorry, our store is closed. We will be open to, here's our hours." And then unidentified customer. This is for an unsolicited message that comes from a phone number that is not in your database. These are all very helpful. Again, it does incur SMS charges. And I should mention that Twilio charges a flat rate for the phone number. It's either $1 or $2 depending on whether you go with a toll-free or a standard 10-digit number. Secondly, each SMS message that you send will incur a fee, and traditionally that fee has been 0.75 cents per text. That's going to be more a per carrier thing in the near future. We've been, over the past, I'd say, year or so, we've been seeing an increased level of what we call carrier filtering with SMS messages. And that is that carriers are blocking SMS messages coming from 10-digit long code phone numbers that appear to be generate an automated message in form. And there are new rules that each carrier is adopting, and there is going to be if you already have SMS set up, keep your eyes out for an upcoming for an update from Spot in the near future. Starting, I believe, March 1st, there will be the ability to opt in or register your business for AT&T phone numbers. And it's going to use, T-Mobile has not yet deployed theirs, but T-Mobile is going to use the same registration process for their phone, for the numbers that they carry. So keep an eye out for that. I don't have a lot of details. I know it can be a little confusing right now, but keep your eyes out for that. We'll certainly see that in the near future. Okay, all right. Other options that you can use with SMS, you are able to, again, let me come into, into my customer here. Some of the other things that you can do with SMS, you are able to have the system send an SMS to a manager when the first user clocks in for the day. This is done by going to Company Settings. I believe it's under Time Clock Settings. It's been a while since I've looked at this one. And no, got to remember where that is set up. But what you are able to do is send an SMS message to a manager when the first clock in of the day occurs at a store. This can be helpful because just to make sure that just for your managers to make sure that the store is being opened on time, or for you to make sure that the store is being opened on time. Let's see here. Can also send an SMS for a standard receipt. Customer comes in to pay for their order, you can send a receipt straight to their phone instead of printing out a receipt for them. If you do a pickup not paid, or you want to send a copy of the visit to the customer, you can send those both through SMS as well. Time clock settings, let's see here. SMS destination. So this is the destination phone number to send the SMS alert to when the first user of this store clocks in for the day. This can be used to notify a specific contact to verify the store is open. Multiple phone numbers are separated by a comma. So if I want to send it to multiple people, 801-495-1200, comma, 801-495-1201, and so on. And then you just make sure that you have send SMS on first clock in selected, and you need to have an SMS profile set at the store level. And of course, you need to make sure that it actually functions. All right. So are there any questions out there? I'm happy to answer any questions if you're having any particular struggles. One piece that I did neglect to mention is how to, with regards to email, is how to modify your email templates. Now, most of the templates in Spot are going to use a file, and we recently, and by recently I mean within the last year or two, which is fairly recent by Spot standards, I would say. But most of them use what we call just a message file, an HTML message file. So if you have if you're familiar with web design and you're okay with making changes to your own your own files, you can certainly pull down that message file, make changes to it, and then re-upload it to your repository of files. In later versions, some of the other methods by which we send email and SMS, more particularly, we use the internal document designer. So first, let's talk about how to get hold of those HTML files. If you go to Menu, Tools, we're going to come to Spot File Manager. You'll see here on the left side, we have a client folder, and on the right side, we have a server folder. And there's going to be one of two places. If it's any email that you are sending through Spot itself, it will be located under Reports. If it's an email that's going out through our API or through Customer Connect, it will be in the Web Templates folder. You might also be called Customer Connect. For the bulk of customers, it's called Web Templates. So I'm going to come here to Reports, and you're going to see this long list of files here. You'll see here I've even got SMS visit. So for some of the SMS files, it's also just a text file. So I want to change my SMS visit file. I can now copy this down, and I need to make sure that I have a valid folder in my C drive. So we'll see here in C temp, I'm just going to bring it down to C temp. You could also call it Spot Files. You'll see here I've got a few that I've already brought down. I'm now going to copy down SMS visit. And I'm going to pull that up. And whoops, I put that in Spot Files, and here's SMS visit. So I can open this up just in Notepad because it's just a text file. So dear first name, thank you for dropping off at pieces, garments at company name. Now, these are tokens that you can replace within your messages. And each of these tokens is available, again, on our help page. And you'll see here on related pages, we have Spot Master Token Reference List. This is a list of all of the available tokens that you can use within your SMS or emails. Okay, so if I want to add the customer's name, or if I wanted to add the customer's address, I can certainly do that here. If I wanted to simply grab the customer's current rewards balance, I wanted to add that, I can certainly do that here as well. So there's a myriad of tokens that are available. Now again, some of these tokens may not work based on the type of email that you're sending, but the customer tokens should really work for just about anything. But if you'll see like invoice/visit, if you're sending an email to a customer for a route reminder, obviously my balance tokens aren't going to do anything. But again, I've now opened this up and I can make changes. So I'm going to change this from garments to pieces, company name. And I don't want to tell the customer when the order is due. I'm just going to tell them that they've dropped those off. And I save that. Then I come back to Spot, and I'm going to come back to my SMS visit and copy it back over to my server folder. I'll say OK. It's going to have me confirm that I am overwriting the file. I say OK, and it has now overwritten that file. And it would be the same thing that we do with each of our HTML files as well. If you have a graphic designer that you already work with for your marketing, you can certainly get hold of these email templates. Now, the basic version of these templates are very, very simple in nature. They are plain text, nothing more. In order to lend credibility to you as a company, it's important that you brand these emails. If you do not have a graphic designer that you are currently working with, you can always reach out to Be Creative 360. And Be Creative 360, we've contracted with them for our spot marketing, but they also will do company branding packages where they will charge you a flat rate and put together market and brand all of your emails, all of your HTML files to look a lot more credible. I don't know about you, but when I receive an email from a company and it's in plain text, I'm immediately suspicious of it. So I would say that it's very important that you make sure that those are branded properly. And again, you can get to Be Creative at Be Creative 360. I believe they have a package, but I think they have a la carte services. And let's see, email marketing. I don't recall if they have it listed here for just doing their branding package. But again, you can reach out to Be Creative, and they will be happy to quote you on that. All right, any questions? That is all I have at this time. If you do have any questions, yes. Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Very, very, very much appreciate the feedback. All right. I certainly hope to see you in future webinars, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me for 40 minutes. I certainly know how busy you all are, and definitely hope that this was very informative and helpful. You should see a recording of this webinar get emailed out to you. You may feel free to review that recording at any time. If you do not receive that recording, feel free to email me directly. You can email me at spencerk@spotpos.com, or you can simply reply to the webinar email, webinar@spotpos.com as well. I received those emails as well. So hope to see you in future sessions. Thank you and have a wonderful day.